Good evening, and thank you for joining us in our crusade to have 1 million women take control. My name is Supra Paus, and I'll be your host today. Now, I was introduced to this firm a long time ago when I was going through a heart condition called ventricular tachycardia, where my heart would palpitate about 250 to 300 beats a minute. Now, whilst going through that, I met someone who asked me, Supra, do you like to educate people? Do you like to bring hope to the hopeless? And my answer was yes. And here I am today. So today you are in for a treat. You are going to learn about student loans since it's the month of August and it's back to school. And this is something that a lot of people have issues with, whether it's forgiveness of loans, forbearance, and all of that. And we're going to break it down today. And our guest speaker, Brenda Kramer, is an expert on that. So let me first introduce you to the very first speaker we have today, and her name is Barbara Tilka. Barbara came from Toronto, Canada, and she migrated to the United States about 36 years ago when she met her husband. And right now she has two grown kids, ages 30 and 27. But back when she came here, she was in the corporate world for about 15 years or so. And her kids were really little, and she didn't have flexibility of hours or freedom to do what she wanted. So she decided to start her own business. And that business is in financial services. And here she is today. So now her main focus is helping people go through major events in their life like divorce, bankruptcy, or even the passing away of a spouse. Because there are so many people out there who just come and take advantage of you, but Barb is here to help them stay on the right course and be able to retire. So help me welcome Barb.
Thank you, Supra. I appreciate that. We're excited tonight because we get to really talk about what's on everyone's minds lately, I guess, is the student loan stress that we're dealing with and a lot of the changes that are going on. I'm excited to have Brenda Kramer joining us tonight. I've worked with Brenda for a long time. She's with Federal Student Loan Repayment Advisors. She's actually in this Las Vegas area. And for the last 7 years, she's been educating federal student loan borrowers on how student loan debt repayment really works and evaluating the benefits of the different repayment plans offered by the Department of Education. And she's helped hundreds of people save tens of thousands of dollars in interest payments, helping them work to achieve loan forgiveness. And we'll talk about all that. Her focus is on relieving borrowers of the anxiety and stress associated with dealing with the Department of Education and its loan servicers. So most importantly, she's focused on educating borrowers on how student interest accrues, how the wrong repayment strategy can cost 2 to 3 times the amount of interest paid over the life of the loan. And having studied the new big, beautiful bill that contains many changes to the income-driven repayment plan, and new guidelines on the amount of student loans that are available, she will provide her insight on the changes. So welcome, Brenda.
Thank you very much for having me. I truly appreciate being here.
Well, over the years, you've provided us with so much support here at WealthWave. We've had so many clients work with you and get knowledge and get a lot of their debt straight so that they can do other things and save and invest. So we really appreciate your partnership. So we're going to go through some essential concepts tonight and some terminology that so many of our clients are really confused about. We're going to have an opportunity for people to ask questions at the end. And, hopefully a lot of the questions that I've kind of worked with you on, we will cover. A lot of my clients have asked. So we're excited to hear what changes are coming. And we want a lot of people tonight to really understand what they need to be doing and knowing that an expert is really critical in trying to navigate this. So thank you. So we're going to start with basically, can you explain what federal student loans are and how they differ from regular loans that, private loans that people often know about?
So a federal student loan is a loan that's given to a student. The payment goes directly to the school, and it is owned by the Department of Education. There are some older loans that are backed by the federal government, but were issued through banks. Those are not in existence anymore, except for the ones that are out there from pre 2008. And then there are private student loans. A private student loan does not have any of the protections that a federal student loan has. So a private student loan, the ones that coming from SoFi and Credible and all these other companies, are no different than a car loan. They do not come with any type of protection from the federal government. A federal loan offers protection based on the different repayment plans and the ability to pause your loan when payments aren't affordable.
Mm.
The way that you know it's a federal loan is if you log into the government website and your loans are there, they're federal. If they don't show on the site, which is studentaid.gov, then they are private.
Okay, so everybody hear that, studentaid.gov. If you're not familiar with that website, everybody needs to get familiar with it if you've got loans, because that's going to be, I know when you do an appointment with Brenda, that's the site that kind of tells the story, almost like a credit report, right? You see everything that have you ever done with student loans.
Mhm.
Okay. So who's eligible to apply for student loans? I get this all the time. For those of you who are considering getting loans, it's really important to understand the process and what do you have to do to apply?
So every US citizen or eligible non-citizen that's enrolled in an eligible degree or certification program are eligible for federal student loans. The amount is based on the school and the cost of your program and the type of degree that you are getting.
And so these loans
Parents
are, sorry, you go on.
parents, grandparents are able to take out loans for the student, but the loans belong to the borrower, the parent or grandparent, and not the student.
So basically you could have a 17-year-old applying for a loan with no credit background and just hit the button.
Absolutely. And for the first time in history, there are limits. I've seen people with 700,000 plus in debt. But the new bill does restrict that. Yes, anybody can get a federal loan for their education without having any type of income or credit
Or ability to pay it back,
or ability to pay it back.
right? Okay. So when a student's applying for the loans, we hear the term FAFSA, right? That's that federal, or I guess it's the free application for federal student aid.
Mhm.
What are the common mistakes that people go through when they're using that portal? Like when they go in to apply, they have to list the schools they're applying to, right? So that those schools will get the answer to what they're eligible for.
Mhm. One of the biggest errors that are made are students who are 19, 20 years old are not including their parents' income and assets. And so when the student applies for federal aid, it is imperative that they have the cooperation of their parents so that they have the full picture of both income and assets of the parents. I believe it's over 3 years where the direct borrower is free from the financial obligations of their parents. So that's sometimes a huge mistake that borrowers, when they apply, are not giving a full financial picture. And that can cause you to have your loans rejected, and you may have missed the deadline because there are some very specific deadlines to get these loans. So it's critical you go armed with all your financial information.
And I think to your point, what I see with a lot of parents I talk to is the kids aren't really paying attention to deadlines and communication. And that can really mess up, trying to enter in the fall without following through on the aid process. So, okay. So some students actually are offered more than they really need. This is where I see people who have graduated. They took out more than they really needed because they were offered the whole amount. There is a way to just limit how much you can accept in the current system, right?
Correct. You may be offered 3,000, but you can type in 1,500 and only accept that 1,500. There had been in the past loans that the excess from above the tuition going to the school would go directly to the student, and that was usually in graduate programs. That created huge debt. Those are no longer available after 2026. So,
Okay, so that's a new change.
mhm.
All right. So what would you say? I mean, I've heard the rule of thumb is only borrow the total amount equal to, your estimated first year of salary when you graduate with your degree. So say you
And
expect to be making 40,000 a year, don't try and borrow more than that. Is that kind of the rule of thumb?
it is the one thing I always, because I will speak with, agents have sent me parents to have me talk with their children who are about to take out all these loans. And what I do is I give them the repayment formula. So I tell them, if you are going to a school at 25,000 a year and you go there for 4 years, you have $100,000 in debt. Well, your payment is now approximately $1,000 a month. If you're taking out $100,000 to get a job as a teacher at 45,000, how are you making that $1,000 month payment?
Right.
So the schools are only allowed to accept the amount of financial aid that matches in the degree what the university has determined the potential salary for that degree will be. For example, more money can go to an engineering student because an engineer coming out of college may earn 65,000, where somebody in preschool education may only come out earning 25,000. So there is, based on the degree you're going for and the school you're going to, can help to determine how much aid you're allowed to have. The limits starting in 2026 have been severely restricted on the amount. I believe with undergraduate, it's 65,000, and for graduate, it's 20,000. So where you're going to school and what degree you're getting should have a bearing on how much debt you take on.
So we're going to see some changes for the new borrowers, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm.
Interesting. So can you talk a little bit about when we're talking about repayment? So you've gotten your loans, you've graduated, or you finished school. You don't have to have graduated, but if you're not at school anymore, um, what are the different repayment plans? A lot of people don't understand their, we talk about income driven. So tell us a little bit about what that looks like.
So there are two types of repayment plans, two main types for federal student loans. The first is what they call standard. And the standard plan is as soon as you are no longer a student, whether it's graduated or withdrawn, your loans are entering into repayment based on a 10-year repayment plan. So it's approximately 1% of the loan value each month. So that's 120 months, 1%. The
The
loan is paid off in
expectation is
10
you've paid
years.
it off in 10 years. Is that right? Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay.
They do offer a standard, what they call extended to extended programs. And that's where you can take your 10 years out to 20 or 25 years, either on a fixed or on a graduated repayment. What they don't tell you is, which to me is logic, if you take out 10-year debt and you stretch it out to 25 years, you're going to pay significantly more interest. You can triple the amount of interest paid on a loan by taking it out in a standard plan of 10 years to 25 years.
Yeah, of course. Wow.
The
So-
other is
Go
the
ahead.
other type of repayment is something called income-driven repayment plans. And it's exactly what it sounds like. Your payment is based on your income and ability to pay, and the length of the loan is based on which income-driven program that you go into. If you fulfill the terms of both payment and time, at the end, the entire loan balance, both principal and interest, will be forgiven. However,
Yeah.
that forgiveness is considered taxable income the year of forgiveness. Now, there is a sub portion, which is called public service loan forgiveness. What it does is if you work at a nonprofit or government entity for 30 hours a week or more, you only have to make 120 payments instead of the 300 in the standard forgiveness program. And when your loans, both principal and interest, are forgiven, it is not considered taxable by the IRS. So a lot
that's-
of people confuse that public service and forgiveness is from the Department of Education. The tax-free forgiveness is through the IRS. So it is the IRS that verifies your public service loan forgiveness and do not send you that 1099 for your taxes.
Yeah. So, and I guess as advisors, we need to really prepare our clients for the forgiveness if it's taxable and understand what they're looking for and, after that time frame. So talk a little bit more about public service loan forgiveness. I've had several clients benefit from this, particularly teachers, government workers, where, they're paying based on income, and they've run through the 120 months of service. One of my clients did not do consecutive 10 years. She had, taught in different schools over the 10 years. And she actually, was granted the forgiveness because she could show 10 years of service. And that was quite a surprise, I think.
So public service loan forgiveness credits are not consecutive, but cumulative. So if you work 3 years for a nonprofit and then you go work for P&G for a year, and then you go back for another 7 years working for a nonprofit, you will have paid on that loan for 11 years, but your forgiveness is still tax-free. So it does not have to be the same job. It can be multiple jobs. So if you're working part-time at United Way and part-time at University Hospital, and those two part-time jobs add up to 30 hours that month, it still qualifies for a public service forgiveness credit.
So thinking about nurses and doctors and people who have a lot of loans.
One of the and I didn't mean to interrupt you, one of the biggest misconceptions, it is not your job description that public service is based on. So it can be the principal, the teacher, or the janitor who are paying their student loans receive public service loan forgiveness. So it's the company you work for, who your employer is, not what your profession is. And I do have a client who is a janitor at the federal courthouse, and we just got their loans forgiven, over $600,000 in loans. Believe it or not, a janitor who took out these loans in 1998.
Wow.
And they just,
Just
doubled and
kept growing.
tripled. And
Yeah.
so
So
that's
just
important.
Yeah, understanding forbearance and deferment, that terminology, because people get very confused about what that means. And is that an option if you cannot pay your loans right now, for instance?
So the difference between forbearance and deferment is based on your economic hardship. So a deferment could be that you are going back to school and the loans are going on hold. You're going into the Peace Corps and the loans are going on hold. Economic hardship forbearance is where you are not earning the income for whatever reason to make that payment. the requirements to receive a forbearance or deferment have increased dramatically. And that started immediately. So in order to get an economic deferment or forbearance, you have to prove that you do not have enough income to be able to make that payment. And if you are not working, then you have to show the Department of Education that you are actively seeking employment, just like you do for unemployment. So
Yeah.
a lot of that has changed and been restricted, and that was immediate. A lot of the new changes don't come in until July 1st of 2026 or June 1st. But a lot of these changes took place when that bill was signed.
Yeah. Well, so one of the things that I'm hearing you say is like if I'm in public service and I'm trying to get my credits, and it doesn't make sense for me to go to forbearance because then I'm not going to get those credits, and I want to work
Right.
towards the 10 years. Okay, so you see that that can be a problem if someone doesn't realize they should really work on an income-based payment.
Correct.
Okay.
Public service loan forgiveness credits are not, you're not eligible to receive them during a forbearance you request from the government. Prior to November of last year, the government forbearance, you were still earning public service loan forgiveness credits. This last forbearance that everybody was just in were not eligible for PSLF credits because you were allowed to make your payments.
Right,
It wasn't like COVID where you could make a payment and it would all go to principal. If you make a payment now, then it's going to both principal and interest, so it's considered a forgiveness credit.
right, okay. And so when it comes to parent loans, something's changing in the new bill. What they call parent plus loans, what's changing there?
So Parent Plus loans is a loan where the borrower has taken out a loan to pay for a dependent's education. Although it pays for the dependent's education, the Parent Plus loan is repayment is the sole responsibility of the borrower and not of the student, right? So there had been some tricks and things where you could get Parent Plus loans eligible for the lower repayments, and the government shut that down last June. So Parent Plus loans right now are only eligible for a higher repayment plan that's almost double of what the student's loan repayment plan is. So it's 20% of your income based on 100, all your income over 100% of the poverty guidelines, where with the direct loans, it's 10% of 150% of the poverty guidelines.
Hmm.
Another thing is Parent Plus loans based on this big, beautiful bill have to be consolidated before June of 2026.
And what does that
They
mean,
have
consolidated?
means if they have multiple loans, they have to consolidate them into one direct consolidation loan. They then have to go into that ICR program, which can be a high payment. And you have had to have made at least one ICR payment. If you do all this before June of 2026, in June of 2028, your Parent Plus loans will be eligible for the new repayment schedule, which is much, much lower.
Much better, yeah. So what I'm
So
hearing is we need to make an appointment with you.
if there are
So,
anybody who has Parent Plus loans, if you do not take certain actions before June of 2026, you will be stuck with
yeah,
an extremely high payment.
right. So right now, lots of changes, really important to get advice to find out what your options are. And don't ignore communication from the servicers. Don't stick your head in the sand. We do have, I was going to put up or one of us was going to put up your contact information. Thank you, Supra. So I'm sure a lot of you are going to really need that information. So jot down her information. I would say, the scheduling the appointment on her website is probably the best because she's a busy lady. So
There's one thing that is important to me that I talk about when I speak with borrowers. Please only take your information from government websites, because the news like Forbes and people like their studentloanadvisors.org and things like that, they're taking the information and representing it in the light where they see it.
yeah.
And I think that's very dangerous. So I always tell everybody, if you're not getting information from a website that says .gov, it's an opinion. It's not the fact. And I, like everybody else, downloaded this new bill. And that's why I may seem a little off, because I've been studying it for the last 2 weeks.
There's a
So
lot to it.
So
Yeah.
please just make sure where you're getting your information. That's just important.
Right. Well, and I think you've often said to my clients, you wouldn't call the IRS and ask them, okay, how can I get my lowest fat taxes that I owe? They wouldn't be the one. So you have an expert to help you, right? So this is the same
Right.
thing, having an expert who's on your side. So I was going to see if there were any questions that we need to address with Brenda.
And while we're waiting for questions, just to let you know, to what Barb is speaking, Mohila has just lost half their contracts. Mohila is one of the servicers, because their deceptive policies with federal borrowers in just the last 12 months.
Wow. So Mohila, Advantage, what's the other
Ed
ones?
Financial,
Ed
and there's a new
Financial.
one called CRI. But again, taking your advice from the servicer is like asking the IRS to help you prepare your tax return to pay the least and get the greatest refund. It's not in their best interest.
Right. So you
So
need someone, have to have an expert and advocate. So excellent. Well, thank you. Did we have any questions that the group might want to hear the answers to, or address them directly with Brenda?
Since we're having some issues with the chat, I'm just going to say them to you, Brenda, or Barbara. I put them in your chat, but there's only a
Okay.
couple questions. If you want to just read those, or I can do it, just let me know.
Okay. Can you work at 2 nonprofits for over 30 hours, or it has to be one job? I think Brenda answered that. It's collective hours at a nonprofit.
and also any government entity, city, federal, state, whether it's the university hospital, Ohio State University, Department of Welfare, Child and Family Services. So any government entity
Yeah.
and nonprofit, unless it's like labor unions are not included because they have a political agenda. So any nonprofit with a political agenda are excluded. And it's been in the news lately that Trump is cutting out any companies that promote human trafficking, and another few things are not going to be eligible for
Well,
public
interesting.
service.
Yeah. So public service loan forgiveness is not going away. It still
Mhm.
exists.
Mhm.
Parents who work for a nonprofit and hold the loans also qualify for public service when they're paying.
Correct.
And then someone else asked, income driven plan will still be available. You're saying it might actually be a better calculation?
In the long run, doing the math, I believe it is a better calculation. Also, believe it or not, the government is doing you a favor. So if your payment is only $10, you're in the unpaid interest is no longer being accrued and capitalized at the end of the loan. So you're not going to see these loans grow, which made forgiveness so high. It made taxes on that so high,
Right.
it sometimes knocked people out of the plan. The other thing is regardless of your payment amount, you will receive at least $50 in reduction in principal during the program. So again, that lowers your forgiveness. So the new plan actually, I think in the long run for direct borrowers is more beneficial than the older plans.
But a little more challenging. For instance, this person's asking, current loan payments, how do they get them reduced because their new income is lower? They're paying $1,000 a month, but her new job is part-time and she's stay-at-home mom now. So how is that going to work as far as income driven?
So you can submit income recalculation at any time. You have to do it once a year to recertify, but your income, if it decreases, you can go ahead and request a manual recertification for a recalculation of the loan payment. There are some delays in processing. And so for processing the income driven. So in that case, you may want to reach out to your servicer to get that forbearance or deferment based on your lower income. If
Yeah.
there wasn't a delay in processing, you could have your payment changed within 30 days, which was the normal turnaround before the pandemic.
So for loan forgiveness, especially public service, are you submitting your information every year, or you're actually just trying to get your job credits in the system showing credited time?
You have to submit an employment certification form that your employer signs, and you submit it to the Department of Education to certify your employment for the prior 12 months, and then you receive those credits. So
Yeah.
it's a DocuSign form that you can fill out through the Department of Education's website, electronically send it to your employer, and then they're given credit. You can still do the applications manually via fax. Don't try to
But I've got,
mail anything in.
yeah, I've had some clients pick up credits from previous jobs 3 years, 5 years ago, whatever, to pick up their public service. You can do that as long as you get the signatures, right? Okay.
PSLF credits do not expire.
Okay, awesome. I think Alan had a question. Is there a minimum amount before they can be helped? So would you say if someone have loans less than X amount, it's not worth, what would you say?
Well, it's a balance. So, you know, if somebody has 20,000 in loans, but they make 12,000 a year, yes, we need to, you know, they can be helped. But if you have somebody with 10,000 in loans and making 50,000, no, you know, it's
Yeah.
really a balancing act. And what I do is, because I do love to educate, and it helps people, that if you have federal student loans and you cannot afford the payment, or you do not understand what's going on with your loans, connect with the agent and set up a call with me, because everybody's situation is so different. There's still so many factors that affect how loan payments are calculated, and the new changes, which include spousal information,
Yeah.
who you can use as household size, all of those have changed in this bill. So there's so many variables. We just sit down and we just run the numbers, and I'll know in 5 minutes, you know, what we can do or not do.
Well, I know we've had lots of great questions and we can't answer them all. And I wish we certainly will get the answers to everyone. Again, as Brenda said, it's not it's not what you do for a living, it's where you work. So if it's a nonprofit organization, then
Or a government entity.
Yeah. Yeah. So we will make sure we get questions answered. We just want to make sure we get through the speakers. And thank you so much, Brenda.
Oh, my
I'm
pleasure.
gonna
Thank you so much.
appreciate it. And back to you, Supra.
Thank you, Barb and Brenda, for that information. It's something that I took a lot of notes on, and I know a lot of people benefit from that. And now I have the great pleasure of introducing you to the young Krista Matthews. And she is in the perfect place to go over young people's issues that they face today. And Krista is the co-author of the book, How Money Works for the Next Generation, Act Now or Pay Later. She is a certified licensed educator, and Krista thrives on simplifying financial concepts for the younger generation. And she also mentors financial professionals on using digital tools to promote financial literacy. She has been a guest on many major TV networks, and her mission is to equip young adults with the tools they need to overcome financial challenges and take control of their money. You will obviously see her passion displayed when she speaks, so help me welcome Krista Matthews.
Hi, Supra. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. I'm so excited to be here with you all tonight and really share the money mindset of everything that Brenda and Barbara just went over. My sister and I were so honored to write this next book in the How Money Works book series. How Money Works, all geared towards the next generation. We really wrote this book with the intention of empowering the next generation. We know that chances are no one has ever sat down with a 20-something. No one's ever believed in us enough to say, you can do this. Here are the 5 steps you need for your financial picture, your financial journey, right? So we really thought it was imperative that we empower this generation to be a good decision maker when it comes to their finances. Because unfortunately, we were not taught this in school. I'm sure you weren't either. And we knew that financial education was missing from our school system. And as a result, an entire generation is financially unprepared for adulthood. Unfortunately, as well, we've inherited very outdated money lessons, if you will, from our parents, like get a degree to get a job to get a paycheck, or work for 40 years and then retire. But that just doesn't fit our very fast changing, very modern economy right now for this next generation. So this book was really written to close that gap, to give young people very modern, very real world money skills that we should have learned in school but didn't. And I know many of you on this call tonight may not be in your 20s and 30s anymore, though you may feel like it. But I really encourage you to listen through the eyes and ears of this next generation, especially if you've been, trying to get through to your college graduate or your high school student who just doesn't want to listen to mom and dad, right? But I really want to dive into, like I said, that money mindset of what Brenda just went through. And thank you so much for that insight as well. I was taking notes. That was wonderful. I cannot wait to implement that into my 20 somethings, especially college graduates, financial game plan. It's really interesting about the new changes that new borrowers are encountering, and I'm very thankful for all of those pieces of information. So I really want to start tonight by, as your resident millennial, by sharing a meme with you, if you will. This could not be more true, and I think really speaks to this next generation's money mindset. I found this on Twitter. It says, teachers really drilled stop, drop, and roll into our heads, but didn't teach us how to balance a checkbook. I've never once been on fire, but I've been in debt for years. Couldn't be more true. I mean, I read one the other day that said, isn't it funny we used to throw eggs at houses and now we can't afford eggs or houses? Still, couldn't be more true. Because our generation is unprepared. We were not taught this in school. And I know tonight you've seen a lot of the emails and maybe invites for tonight's Zoom that we actually have something very unique about our How Money Works book series. And that is that we have a cast of characters to help teach the financial concepts so that memes like that aren't displayed anymore, that we aren't tweeting this out because we're all lost, right? So these characters are here to step in and really make sure that these money lessons are approachable and relatable. We made sure to add some humor in there as well, as to what the audience is really thinking, reading about these concepts. For example, we walk you through your first paycheck with one of the characters, and we have them kind of pop their head in and say, who's FICA on this paycheck? Why is he getting all my money? So we really made sure to write like we talk and like our generation would understand. Now, each of these characters are in very different ages and stages of their life. Some of them have traditional benefits and some of them do not. But we made sure to pull from real life stories, real life financial situations that my sister and I went through, that our friends went through, that our peers are still going through, and that statistically millions of other young adults are also having the same problem with. We wanted to be very real, very authentic with their stories, including Zoe's, who we're going to focus on tonight, and I have the honor of representing. So everyone, Meet Zoe. She is 19 years old in her very first year of school. She's very bright, very determined. She's always been taught as a college student that higher education was her ticket to a better financial future. That's what she was always taught. That's what she's now driven by. But like so many of her classmates and her peers, she actually says in our book that she filled out student loan paperwork without fully realizing what it meant. And I think that's all too relatable. She said, I thought student loans were just a part of college. I thought everyone did that. And she didn't realize that she'd be thousands of dollars in debt before she even got her first real job. And unfortunately, I really hear that all too much among my 20 and 30 something clients. She's in her first year of school and she's already carrying very heavy student loan balances. She actually says in the book as well that instead of focusing on classes, campus life, and new friends, and all of the fun parts of college, she finds herself worrying about repayment, interest rates, whether or not she can afford to keep borrowing. And I'll tell you that Zoe's story is actually all too common. A lot of the students and young graduates have tunnel vision to get a degree, and they don't understand the financial long-term implications of student loans because no one ever taught them. No one ever sat down with them and said, hey, this is what interest looks like. This is how you pay it back. This is what a high percentage looks like. This is what one that doesn't look like. And they truly feel set back before they've even gotten started. So with all that being said, that is a huge piece of our mission with these 20 and 30 somethings, like Zoe, that come to us. And we teach that with the right financial knowledge and with the right financial education, understanding how student loans work for Zoe, how to budget in college with her small income, and honestly, just how to make smart borrowing decisions, like Brenda mentioned, about payment and timing, that Zoe can change the narrative, right? That with that right financial education, with sitting down with someone, with going through your goals, even at 19, right? With that right financial education, putting it into action is her key. That is her financial game plan for her in college right now. So instead of feeling stuck, they can learn to take control of their money. They can actually set themselves up for a very strong financial future, which, as you know, makes all the difference in the world. Now, I'll tell you the challenge here. There is only 35 states in the United States in 2025 that teach personal finance. Now, when a couple years ago we first started our How Money Works book series, there was only 8 states that taught financial education in school, and we don't even know how much they really taught. We heard through the trail that it was, a 45-minute class one time a semester, or it was a couple times a semester and they all had to gather in an auditorium and most of them were on their phone the whole time, right? So for my generation, because we don't understand our finances, we fear them. And you can see here 13 million Gen Zers carry student loan debt. Millennials owe over $40,000 right as soon as they graduate college. They're already bogged down. They already can't get, the nice apartment, or maybe pay down their student loans, or not their student loans, their car payment, or whatever it is, because they're very focused on paying down their student loan debt. Even number 4 here was really interesting to me. I had not seen this or come across this statistic yet, but it says 33% chose not to pursue the degree or the field they originally had, a goal or a dream for, because they literally can't afford it. They already feel stuck in a hole, so to speak, at 23 years old. They already feel like they can't keep moving forward and keep pursuing that dream, maybe in medicine or science or teaching or whatever it is, because they can't afford it. Because they already had that servant heartedness in them, they already had that goal and that want and that desire for a field, and they stop. 33% of my generation stops and they don't pursue that. That just breaks my heart. And I think it's why we need to close this literacy gap, because of not knowing how to be a strong financial decision maker. And they don't know where to get this education from. And number 1 here says most of my generation would give themselves a C plus maybe, or maybe a C minus in a grade average of how well they think their financial confidence is on a scale. And like it says here, more than 3/4 of my generation delays major life milestones. And I want to pause for a moment and really focus on this. This means that 3 out of 4 millennials are unable to afford housing without sacrificing something more important in their lifestyle or in their financial plans. It says here 76% of millennials have made compromises like living with parents, which no one wants to do, living with roommates, maybe in their early 30s when they're trying to be on their own and be independent and be a young adult, and they're stuck in a house with 3 or 4 other people, or they're just delaying home ownership in general. We're delaying getting married, starting families, having babies, right? Because we literally can't afford it. And that is really sad for my generation. And it's actually changing a lot in the market. It's changing a lot in the statistics of home ownership. And, we're just set back, we're pushed back because my generation says, I really feel paralyzed. And and I really feel like I can't do both. They feel like they can't, pay down their student loans and set money aside for retirement and for a financial future. And I kind of want to help you get into the mindset just for a moment of a 20 and 30 something. Our generation really procrastinates because we don't know who to trust. We don't know where to turn, and we don't know what applies to us, right? We are oversaturated in the digital age, right? We're oversaturated with information. Google at our fingertips, if you've ever Googled personal finance, trillions of results pop up. How are we supposed to sift through all of that? How are we supposed to know what applies to us? So many things on even social media that we Google or try to look up personal finance or what should my next credit card be or whatever it is, they're opinion based. And a lot of times these people on social media or even an article, if you will, that are opinion based, skip a couple steps. So maybe they're a young 40 something teaching you to get a bright, shiny new credit card, but this 20 something is 5 steps behind. And they're saying, well, I don't want to open another line of credit yet because XYZ, and on and on. So we are just saturated with this jargon that then we have to open a new tab and go back and Google what the heck that means to go back to the Instagram to see what credit card to open. It's all a mix. It's all an array. And again, because of all of that, our generation becomes paralyzed and we freeze. I hear all too much among my young adults and my young friends that they say, I'm young, I'm healthy, I'm going to live forever. I don't have to worry about that right now. I could wait 5 years, right? No, because here's the thing. My friends and often my young clients tell me as well, they feel like they have no wiggle room in their budget, as you can see here. They feel like they can't pay off, their husband's student loans, and they have a second baby on the way. They feel like they're not in the job or field or area in the business that they want. So they're saying, well, I'm going to wait till I get a higher income. I'm going to wait till I have 2 streams of income coming in, right? So because of that, our generation feels trapped. And every year that we keep waiting, it's increasing our cost of independence. We can see here, Vince Schorb is the CEO of the National Financial Educators Council, huge advocate for what we do here with How Money Works. He says college graduates spend 16 years, right, K through 18, gaining skills that will help them command a higher salary, yet little or no time is helping them save, invest, and grow their money. Don't forget that investing is investing in themselves as well, really investing in their education, and how it will impact our younger children and our family and their family and on and on and on. And that's why we subtitled the book with a call to action. We said, act now, take control now, do something about this now, or quite literally pay for it later. As I just said, our generation procrastinates, but that comes with a price tag. Poor financial decisions are leading us to more debt, missed opportunities, if you will, definitely added stress. And we want to bring that action piece in of all this knowledge and all this education that we're oversaturated with. We want to bring this action piece to build that momentum and to really bring us confidence and bring our 20 and 30 somethings confidence to be a good decision maker, because waiting to get started is just one of the most expensive mistakes you can make. I encourage you right now to take a little picture of this or take a screenshot of this slide. I've actually sent this to countless of my clients, my young clients, but as well as parents of 20 and 30 somethings that say, my college student, oh, I just really want to set them on the right path. And I need to solidify this in them because I teach them that for my generation, time is our greatest asset if we start now. We have time on our side to make a mistake or two if we need to. We have time on our side to let the market ebb and flow and do what it will. We have time on our side to let our money really grow if we take advantage of it early on. If we start now, even if you think you can wait 5 years, even if you think you're young and healthy and will live forever. So we think this is the solution: education plus action. I think we've really taken the time to translate the financial concepts in this book into very simple, very relatable lessons. We really wanted to ensure that this concept of dealing with your money, if you will, handling your money from day to day, is approachable instead of intimidating. And I think that really makes all the difference in the world. That really, this education side, like it says here, of knowledge plus action, bridges that gap. Not just teaching them what these money concepts mean, but how to apply them to your daily life. Because that's really what we're searching on Google. That's really what we're searching on Instagram, is someone to say, here is the step-by-step. This book is the step-by-step. We really, really took the time to make sure that these tools make you a smart borrower. They help you with saving, actually telling you what to do, where to put your money, where to go, different options depending on age ranges and financial situation, because it all depends on where you are and where you want to be, and really making sure that we're setting you up later in life. We want to make sure that starting now changes that trajectory, possibly of an entire generation, if we may be so bold. We want to make sure that these student loan borrowers and these young adults are really going from financial fragile to financially confident, financially fragile to confident. And I think we're already making a dent, if I may say so myself, in really bringing awareness to schools, communities, companies that are craving this information, that we want to make sure that they know how to navigate their finances on their own, that they're a smart decision maker, a smart borrower, and truly that it gives them peace of mind. So unfortunately, we just don't know where to start, but we think this book and this How Money Works series is the answer for that. As I wrap up here, I really want to share with you my favorite chapter of the book. It's actually the very last chapter of our book, called Firsts. This is your first car, your first baby, your first down payment on a home, your first marriage. Well, not your first marriage, but you know what I mean. Not the first time you get married and everything that comes with that. Joining two streams of income. Do I need insurance on each other? How all of that works. And I want to point out to you this one in the very middle here. It says making a career change. We actually added this very last minute because of the pandemic. We were realizing that more and more of 20 and 30 somethings were either getting laid off because of the COVID era. They either had to switch jobs. One of them lost your job, whatever it is. And unfortunately, things are left behind. That knowledge was left behind. They're starting over in a new field. That financial stress weighs in. Maybe it was a higher or lower income that you're now in. But most importantly, what happened to your 401k? What happened to your savings? Is it sitting there idle? Obviously, the company's no longer matching in that 401k. What do we do with it? Where does it go? Do you still have access to it? Yes. Where's your password? Everything like that. We walk them through. And I think that one in the very middle is one of the most important. So I just wanted to give you a quick sneak peek of a couple of the chapters in this book that I think perfectly answer the burning questions that our 20 and 30 somethings have, and that our peers and our clients and our friends have, all about life's big first. That's why we wrote this book. That's why, especially this chapter in particular, we believe fits this quote perfectly. It says, one student, one teacher, one book can change the world, can change your world, can change your students' world, can change their children's world, and on and on. We really, really believe that knowledge plus action is the key. That is your financial game plan. Our goal really, that's my sister here. Our goal really is very simple. It's really to help graduates feel empowered, feel confident, and feel prepared for their financial future, as it says here. We really, truly believe that starting earlier, thinking ahead, planning ahead makes all the difference in the world. So I really hope you can take a few pieces of that and share those with the 20 and 30 somethings in your life, and really instill in them that timing is everything. Knowledge plus action. Always will make the difference in your financial future and in your financial game plan. So thank you so much for having me, Supra. I really appreciate you having me on tonight, and I'll hand it back over to you.
Thank you so much, Krista. That's a lot of great information that everybody needs to know. So now, let me introduce you to our final speaker for today, and she's none other than our very own OG, Kim Schooler. Now, Kim is recognized as a leading advocate for women and women's issues, and she has been an attorney for more than 30 years. And in her impressive career, she has served as one of the few women broker-dealer presidents in the US. And she's truly a giant in the courtroom. She come across as gentle and kind, and that is who she really is. But she has actually taken two cases all the way up to the Supreme Court and won. So now, help me welcome the brilliant Kim Schooler.
Thank you so much, Supra. It is really great being with you all. And I can't imagine a better subject for us to talk about in the month of August. Now, we've spent a lot of time talking about student loans that apply to both the parents and the young people. And Krista did an amazing job talking to us about the things that the next generation need to think about. So what I wanted to do is take this time and talk to the parents. So I'm a single mom, and when my son went away to college, I had spent most of my time, as parents do, kind of focused on our children, getting them raised, helping them with their schoolwork and getting them off to college. And then we have that moment where it's an empty nest. And I kind of went through that adjustment myself, as many parents do, of empty nest syndrome. It was kind of the house was very quiet, and it gave me a lot of time to think. And so I really want to encourage the parents out there, when your child does go away to college, let's spend that time thinking about what we want. Maybe we've spent a lot of time working on the financial side to help our children. Let's start focusing on the financial side to help ourselves, especially for retirement. And the things that you want to do in retirement. Do you want to travel the world? Do you want to go on a mission trip? Do you want to, buy a vacation home or live at the beach or buy the fast car? Whatever it is you want, take this moment to really think about what you want and start planning the things that you need to do financially in order to accomplish that. Now, the other thing that I'll say is they may leave the nest, but sometimes they come back. And I am so happy and privileged to have my son and his wife move in with me. They live with me, and they are an integral part of helping me take care of my 87-year-old mother, who also lives with me. But you all know it's so hard for young people to buy a house these days. Those firsts that Krista was talking about. And so this is the time when they're, saving money for a house of their own at some point in the future. But for me, I want to tell those empty nest parents who are feeling the emptiness to tell you that there's hope. Sometimes they come back. I also wanted to talk to parents about, the legal documents that you need to be thinking about. So Supra mentioned that I am a lawyer by education and by training. And when your child turns 18, they're an adult. They're considered an adult. You may not think of them ever as an adult, even in their 30s and 40s, but they are an adult in the eyes of the law. And so making sure that they have the right documents in place so you can help them from a legal standpoint is important. So when your child is going away to college, I'm going to recommend you look into getting 4 documents put in place. The first one is a living will. It's also called an advanced healthcare directive. And this is where your child can designate you as the person to make medical decisions on their behalf if they're not able to. Because again, they're an adult. And so you want to make sure you have that legal right to help them make medical decisions. In addition to that, what kind of partners with that is a HIPAA release. If any of you have gone to the doctor's office, you know you always have to sign that HIPAA release. And the HIPAA release gives your healthcare agent the ability to access your medical and insurance records so that your healthcare agent, your parent, can make, informed decisions about your healthcare needs. Next, I recommend that your child put a durable power of attorney in place, naming you as their agent. This gives you, the parent, the ability to make financial decisions on their behalf in the event they're not able to do so. And so that's also an important document. And then finally, I recommend you consider putting in place a FERPA waiver. It's FERPA, FERPA, and that stands for Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. So your child has a right to privacy in their academic records. So you, even though you might be helping to pay the tuition or the meal plan or the rent, the room and board, you have no rights as a parent to access their academic records unless there is a FERPA waiver in the books, in the file. And so that gives you the ability to get information about their academic records as well as their college financial records. What are their, what is the tuition? What it gives you the ability to really help your child make informed decisions. And so I recommend as a parent that you work with your adult child to make sure that those documents are in place to help your child and to also to protect you. Anyway, as a former empty nester, now that my son is back, and his wonderful wife and my mom, I've got a full nest again, which is great. I'm hoping for grandchildren. But I thought I'd share those things with you all. And I'm going to turn it back over to Supra. Supra, thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Kim. That was fantastic. It's great information. And so I'd like to say a big thank you to all our dynamic speakers today. And so you might be asking, so now that I have all this information, what should I do? So let me share my slide. So the next steps, what are they? Okay. Slide is, there you go. So talk about money with your family and friends. It's amazing how talking about money is taboo in our culture, but this is something that we really have to bring up so that we actually know where we all stand. Know your own financial situation by taking an inventory of cash flow, assets, insurance, and debt, and eliminate any unnecessary fees and charges, credit card debt, and bad financial habits. Okay. Set your financial goals over the short term, medium term, and long term. Make a plan to accomplish your financial goals and stick to your own savings and spending plan. So everybody needs to think on paper, write a budget plan, and then save and invest money, more money, even if it's a little bit every day. I heard this thing on a really, really good book. It's called The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. He doesn't say to save 10% if you can't. He said save 1% a month, then go to 2, then go to 3, go to 4, go to 5 until you get to that 10%, which becomes comfort level after you figure out where you can cut back and save. Continue learning how money works and partner with a financial professional, the person who invited you. Get back together with them and find out how they can put a plan together to help you meet all your goals. And then share your knowledge, teach it forward. And if you don't know what lifestyle you want, any lifestyle would do. So just create a plan for yourself, know exactly what you want for your future to look like, and then learn, read the books, Ask the person who invited you to give you a copy of this book if you don't already have it. And they say the best place to hide a secret is in a book, because most people don't like to read. So just crack open the book. It's a picture book. It's an easy read, and you can learn so much more than most people. So if you would like to learn more, we are covering different characters each month, characters in the book. And the next one is in September, and then we'll have another one in October. So please reach back to the person who invited you, and then you can keep track of when the next event is. Thank you so much for joining us. Good night.
Goodbye, everyone.
Bye, thank you.